oh, it's cringe for me to reach out again after ghosting, or it's cringe for me to double text them, or it's cringe for me to do this. Like, dude, you're fucking lonely. You're crying yourself to sleep every night. Why don't you just take the action that will save your life? You're still living in a paradigm of survival. You're still living in a dog-eat-dog world. That's literally capitalism brainwashing you to think that everything is a transaction. You don't actually have to earn people's approval. You don't actually have to look good all the time. You don't have to say the right things and be providing value all the time. There are people who are out there that will love you just for you. I hate self-improvement content creators because self-improvement content creators like myself are just like professional gaslighters, and they make it seem like the problem is you. I was just watching my video on loneliness and I had to make a rebuttal against myself. If we have to spend a ton of money, time, and energy just to have social interaction with other people, that's a major fucking problem. You should not have to go out of your way to find people to talk to. Who has the time, first of all, but also there should be places that we can just go without having to spend a bunch of money. We shouldn't have to go to take some class every week to see people. It's just fucked up. And I'm done making it seem like everything is you. It's not. This is literally the bane of my existence. And I go through these spirals once a month where I'm like, I have no social interaction on a day-to-day basis. I'm just working all the fucking time. As a Gen Z person, I have struggled with crippling feelings of loneliness and isolation my entire life. I was sheltered as a kid, and when I was finally allowed to go to public school, I was just too fucking much for everybody there because autism. I spent the majority of my life looking for this best friend that I was just never gonna find. This is not a one-size-fits-all thing. This is not something that some random stranger on the internet is gonna be able to help you solve. Everyone has a personal experience with loneliness and isolation, and so only you can really go in there to your psyche and investigate those stories, investigate those blocks, to taking the action, to putting yourself out there and making friends. And I gotta be honest and say that you can solve this for a couple of months and then it'll start up again. Any behavior that you're trying to change is almost like overcoming an addiction a little bit. You're gonna get pulled back into that old reality if you're not consistently taking action to get yourself out. For me, I would have months where I'm really, really good at taking the action towards like having a friend group or talking with people on a regular basis, reaching out to my friends. But then when I'm focusing on work, or I just get really busy, or I get really sad, I'm struggling with mental health, you just fall off of communication. And then it's like the hardest part is getting back into it after you've fallen off, because you start to create these stories in your mind. Like, are we still friends? You start to overthink. You can't just reach back out after you've ghosted for a long time. You feel guilty about reaching back out. I found out for me personally, the reason why I wasn't reaching back out, because even when I was lonely and wanted to reach out, was because I didn't want to deal with myself. I would bully myself about it, or I would feel guilty, or I would compare myself to where they are in life. So investigate why you're not taking the action. I mentioned in my other video that loneliness, John Cacioppo calls it the feeling that results from the discrepancies between ideal and perceived social relationships. It's a result of everyone having their own idea about what a friend is and what a friend should do. There are a lot of people on this planet who just don't understand how to have intimacy because we were conditioned in childhood that intimacy is weird. Expressing your feelings is a waste of time. This is a professional environment, and as a child, when you're going to school with your friends, you're taught to have these transactional relationships. So when you get older, you're like, how do I have intimacy? How am I supposed to tell people how I feel? You're never told that it's okay to express your feelings. It's okay to be authentic around other people, and that's actually how you attract real friends, is by being yourself. And it's just I'm learning so much about this. My coworker recently just passed away. She had stage 4 breast cancer that had metastasized, and her friend literally let her live in her house. And it was just so crazy to me that you can have a friend that knows you, sees you at your worst, at your lowest, and can allow you to go through it like that, and will be there with you while you're going through it. You don't actually have to earn people's approval. You don't actually have to look good all the time. You don't have to say the right things and be providing value to that person all the time. There are people who are out there that will love you just for you, who will support you just for you. Our society's aversion to secure attachment, our society's aversion to intimacy, to authenticity, that thinks that we can impose our own beliefs about what is right and wrong on everything, even when it is destroying us. That's the part that really pisses me off, is our society is so fucked up for that, because we're all just humans at the end of the day. We all shit, we all fart, we all struggle, we all get mad and make mistakes and project and do shit that we're not supposed to do. And the reason I hate self-improvement content creators is they make it seem like there's this evil and good dichotomy, and you have to get away from negative feelings or get away from negative experiences, when the reality is all is one. You cannot escape it. It's all you. It's part of being a human, and it cannot be avoided. avoided. And I wanted to make a point about social media because I had this experience recently with a hairdresser. She got into some type of accident and she said that she needed to reschedule my appointment even though I'd already paid the deposit. She had an emergency. I was cool with it. I saw her book someone else on my day and I literally ran with that. I was like, oh, she lied. I want my money back, all this shit. I didn't say that, but I was going through that in my head. And then it just dawned on me, I misinterpreted the reason. She wasn't taking a rest day. She was trying to rearrange her appointments because she had to deal with her situation. So why do we look at stuff on social media and jump to the worst possible scenario? They're not talking to me, but they can talk to them. Oh, well, they can hang out with all those people, but they're not hanging out with me. You're hurt about something and you're using this to confirm something that's going on within you that's already there, that's been there since your childhood. That has nothing to do with those people on social media. And if those people are not your friends, they're not your friends. But don't use innocuous stuff to beat yourself up. I was doing that so fucking much. Don't just go with the first assumption you have. Give people the benefit of the doubt. If you have asshole friends, then they're not your friends. Most people are not bad. So it's like, if they are your friends, they're probably not thinking that about you. And I know some people have personality disorders and stuff where like they split or whatever. That's definitely a process for all of us to learn how to not assume the worst. All realities exist. Your first thought is probably not reality. You know more about yourself than anybody else. So any thought that you're having is probably a reflection of you and not them. Sit with it until you can come back to reality. Honestly, it just comes down to energy. If you don't water a plant, it's going to die. If you don't water your relationship, if you don't nurture your connections with your friends, they are going to get stale. If you keep ghosting on people, they're not going to be in your life. And it's not because they don't like you anymore. It's because you don't like you enough to take this action for the sake of your health, for your emotional health, for your mental well-being. You are still attached to that feeling. Some people are addicted to stress because they have lived in a state of stress for so long that it's uncomfortable to them to be at peace. They feel guilty or they feel like they're being unproductive. Same thing happens with loneliness, with depression. For me, I was depressed for so long that being lonely is really hard for me to break out of. To have all these friends, to have all these moves, to have things happening feels weird. It almost feels wrong. You have to look at that. Like, am I sabotaging? Is my whole way of operating, is my tendency to ghost on people, is that sabotage? Like, what's wrong with just saying, I'm going through something, guys, and I need some time off, or I need a break? You could do that, but so many of us feel like we have fucked it up that we don't even bother to communicate anymore. You can still do that. You can rewrite the story starting now. It's never too late for redemption, and it's never too late to change the story. You can fix relationships, because your friends, a lot of them, they're struggling just like you. They're probably trapped in this wheel of, should I reach out? Should I not reach out? How do I break the silence? For me, I had to see it as taking this action for my mental health. Do it for them, not you, or do it for you, not them. Whatever helps you actually take the action. If you're reaching out to somebody, I guarantee you they're not gonna reject you because they have too many friends. We're in a fucking loneliness epidemic. If you reach out to somebody, you're offering them water in a drought. You're offering them food in a famine. You need to rewrite the narrative so that it's an action that you can take. It's not something that's embarrassing. Cringe. Oh, it's cringe for me to reach out again after ghosting, or it's cringe for me to double text them, or it's cringe for me to do this. Like, dude, you're fucking lonely. You're crying yourself to sleep every night. Why don't you just take the fucking action that will save your life? You're not their priority, and that's okay. You don't need to be their priority to get the emotional and mental health benefits from interacting with them. Like, you don't need them to be your best friend. And I think a lot of us have this black and white thinking that we want someone to be obsessed with us, even though that's not healthy. And if you want to make new friends, he who has friends must show himself friendly. That shit's in the Bible. If you want a friend, you have to be a friend. Position yourself as a servant. Stop thinking, oh, what can I get from this? And start thinking, what can I give? How can I be there for somebody? Because a lot of us who have this loneliness shit, we are fucking narcissists. Let's just be honest. We're self-absorbed as hell, and we don't want somebody to finesse us or make us look stupid. You're still living in a paradigm of survival. You're still living in a dog-eat-dog world of survival of the fittest. That shit's not real, bro. That's literally capitalism brainwashing you to think that everything is a transaction. At the end of the day, it really comes down to, are you happy with who you are? And if you're not, what actions can you take right now to shift your identity? Oh, I'm too busy, or they're too busy for me, and they should have time for me, and they didn't text me back, and blah, blah, blah. People make time for what's important to them. There's no reason to ghost ever. Well, some people have to work. Some people are busy. You could go around all day long in circles trying to figure out whose fault it is, instead of just accepting that this is a problem that we're all facing and someone has to fucking deal with it. And if you're the one who's suffering, you have to take the action to solve the problem. I don't know what to tell you. The whole universe is waiting on you to figure out who you are and what you want, to take what's already yours and to remember your power. Just talk to your friends, dude. I'll make a whole nother video on like making friends and talking to people. I don't have time right now. But at the end of the day, you have to just stop blaming. Focus on what you can control. Stop obsessing over details that you can't control. Stop punishing yourself, ruminating in negative emotional states because of things that you can't control. Either take the action or do something else. I don't know. It's just not productive. And obviously, I'm not saying it's easy to overcome these blocks, dude. Look at me. Do I look like I'm fucking happy right now? This world is fucked up. I'm not trying to be a professional gaslighter. I know how fucking hard it is. But what I'll say is that there is a solution. We just all have to take on a responsibility, accountability to do what we can to solve the problem. You can't control other people, but you can be the example. And you can change your story if you want to. You can have the friend group that you always dreamed of. You can have the social connection that you always wanted. Your friends love you and they're waiting for you to figure out who you are and what you want and to take action in alignment with that reality. Obviously, it's a journey, but I want you guys to know that I'm going on it with you. It's really not easy, but we're in this together. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.